Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for the 8th and final chapter of School Live Letters. When we last left our heroes, a fucking movie thing that Toko had written was sort of read to us by Miki. It was the weirdest fucking shit. I'm not going to go into detail on it. There was clones and time loops and something, a bunch of proper nouns, courtesy of Aosoi. It was weird, and it ends with Miki, breaking the fourth wall, telling us to not believe any of this. So yeah, with that underway, let's dive right into the final chapter of School Live Letters, Chapter 8. We have our scan later page here. So with this, we reach the final chapter, but that the actual end of, actual question mark, at this point, this would not be, this is the second time that Kaiho has ended the series. End of Gakko Garashi. I'd like to thank the three people above, the translator, proofreader, all of those guys who helped make this happen, yada yada yada. So yeah, great work from Waterflame Scans. It's been a wild ride on this series, reviewing it for the past several years. Anyway, we have our magazine cover of the four girls, now adults, Miki, Yuki, Yuri, and Kurumi. Kurumi, of course, still in her wheelchair, and a bunch of kids of the next generation. They've kind of helped exist. And we open with a color page, with Miki sort of sitting under the sakura tree, writing a letter, I guess. I'm presuming this chapter is finally going to focus on Yuki. But as she writes, a sakura petal falls onto her page, and she looks up and smiles at the petals falling around her. And we get our cover page, flooded with emotion is the kind of blurb there. We have, a whole bunch of the cast of School Live. We see, of course, Yuki and Miki and Kurumi and Yuri. We see the Degeneracy Society down the bottom left corner. We see, what's her name? From Chapter 5. Ri, I think. We see, God, I forgot her name too. The motorcycle girl and her son, whose name is escaping me for the moment. But yeah, it's a nice, here's everyone who's still alive. They're all alive in the world. They're all doing well. Last chapter to you. And so we open with Yuki, though. We are finally getting Yuki just standing outside, I guess, the school. She hears a ding-ding, and Yuki turns to whoever it is. Thank you for your hard work. And we see it's a mailman with a bunch of letters for her. Hello, we got a lot today. And we see there are a bunch of letters. We see one with a seal on it with the words "for you." It's from Aki at Saint Isidore. There's, I guess, a two text with Meguri-gakka High, Takaya Yuki. So she is still at Meguri-gakka. I think we knew that already, though. And Yuki kind of exclaims, "Wow, I'm so glad." And the mailman looks at her. When should I return? I'll write my responses today, so tomorrow? Okay, see you tomorrow. Thank you. And Yuki kind of waves the guy off. And she's sort of walking down the hall, and a bunch of, grade school kids come up to her. It's Yuki-sensei! It's Yuki-nee! Yuki-nee, what's that? I think we saw her get called Yuki-nee in the finale of the original series, but it's still a really nice full circle moment for Yuki to become the nee of a new group of kids. And they try to reach for the letters. Show us! And Yuki tells them off. No, these are letters. And the kids all look at her confused. Letters? I guess letters only slightly exist anymore, given the complete fall of civilization. And these kids were, if they were alive before the fall, they were 2. Anyway, Yuki kind of notes their confusion and calls the kids to class. We see also it's kind of an all-ages class. There are teenagers there as well, who should definitely know about letters. Because Yuki's line is, "Class, today we'll be learning about letters. Does anyone know what I mean by letter?" And this 5-year-old shoots his hand up. Dunno, but they're amazing, right? And Yuki agrees. Oh yes, letters are amazing. You see her eyes shine. You can tell this is still the same kid from all those years ago. First, you write any thoughts you'd like to share on your writing paper. Then you write the name and address of the person you want it to reach on the envelope. And finally, you put it in the post box. And I like that the post box they have is very clearly a kind of ramshackle thing. It's like a barrel. Or maybe it's just a difference in like the cultural versions of mailboxes. I think a mailbox is like a circular or like semicircular dome sort of thing. I don't really think of barrels as post boxes, and that feels kind of like, this is what we have. This is what's left in this society, so we're using what we have, kind of thing. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. And then the postman comes and takes your letters and delivers them to their destinations. No matter how far, no matter what's between you, Mr. Postman will do his best to deliver it. It feels very much like an advertisement for the post office. And the kids are all kind of skeptical. And so Yuki continues, "It's true. I just got this letter here. So today, we're all going to write letters together." Which feels very much like a tie-in for like the frame story, or the framework of this whole miniseries. It's all been about people writing letters, apparently all to Yuki or to each other or whatever. And now Yuki is sort of passing that practice on to the next generation. It's all very nice work. We see the kids writing. Yuki sort of watches them. A couple of kids are like fighting over the letters, and Yuki like stops them. And then the bell rings, and Yuki turns to them. "Do you all write the addresses properly? Everyone, if you don't write the address, Mr. Postman won't know where he should deliver them, okay? If you don't know the address, come to me." Okay. How common are addresses? Like, I feel like one of the things we never quite learn in the aftermath of the original series is, like, the people we've seen are all generally seem to be, like, living in kind of institutions, I guess? Not like a mental institution, but, like, we see Kirby's basically living in the hospital. Yuri, as I recall, is, like, living in the government building. Miki's kind of traveling the world. The Degeneracy Society are all staying at college. So, like, do people have houses in general at this point? Have they sort of restored society to the point that houses are kind of back in the norm? I don't know. But anyway, we then see, after class, this little kid, who I think was kind of, I think it's the same kid that was kind of set up as the next Yuki in the final chapter of the original series, is sort of hanging on to her letter after class. And Yuki kind of like gets to eye level with the girl. "What's the matter?" "I'm still writing my letter, but..." "Yes?" And the girl looks at her. "Mr. Postman can take it, no matter how far?" Oh, she's writing to her dead parents, isn't she? She lost her parents in the apocalypse. "Yup, if you write it properly. Let me look at it for you." And Yuki looks at it, kind of, I think sort of shocked at what she sees. "To Mama in heaven. Yeah." And the girl presses, "Will my letter reach her?" And Yuki tries to cheer her up. It'll reach her. Mr. Postman is amazing. Amazing? Yup, amazing. It's pretty far, so it might take some time, but it'll reach her. "Okay, thanks, Yuki-sensei. I'll finish writing and bring it back." Aw, I'm sure we're going to get some kind of resolution to that, and I don't quite know what that resolution is going to be. But Yuki sort of watches her as she runs off, and then comes back to the staff room, and is just kind of a teary mess. No use. I failed as a teacher. And there's someone else who's there. I don't think that's, like, I see the cross around her neck, and I think Megu-nee had a cross like that. So my first instinct is, like, is that another Megu-nee hallucination, kind of guiding her in teacherdom? But it looks like she has... No, I thought that was hair reaching near her waist. That might be the arm of the sofa. It might be a Megu-nee hallucination. Come on, don't say that. We all make mistakes. But Yuki goes on, "We'll all write letters together. I thought it'd be a good lesson. I forgot about Rin-chan. It's not just Rin-chan. Oh, yeah, it is a Megu-nee hallucination. But one that she's seemingly more aware of is a hallucination, as opposed to in the past where she thought Megu-nee was real. You said the letter would reach her, right? Well done, well done." But Yuki counters, "I'll never be like you, Megu-nee." And Megu-nee kind of looks at her, sort of sad, and then goes on, "Even I would mess up and get depressed." But Yuki presses, "I never saw you get depressed or anything like that. I always thought you were a super strong person. However bad it gets, I'll never give up. Like that, you know?" But Megu-nee responds, "Of course not. I just acted strong in front of you. You understand?" So I kind of want to stop for a sec and look at the idea of bringing Megu-nee back here. Because the whole point of Yuki's arc is that she kind of, comes to accept the world as it is, no matter the tragedy she faces, and grows and becomes an adult. And the ghost of Megu-nee was kind of the metaphor of her youth, her childhood, her delusions. And so while I understand bringing Megu-nee back is like a callback to the beginning of the series, something about that kind of rubs me the wrong way, I think. Though this kind of admittance of the Megu-nee ghost that, like, I wasn't actually that strong, I just was an adult and I had to do what I had to do, it's interesting. Part of me is like, why would Yuki know that? Why is the ghost of Megu-nee counter to what Yuki is saying if the ghost of Megu-nee is just part of Yuki's mind? Though maybe Yuki, in the depths of her mind, knew that, even if she doesn't really want to admit it. And so she has Megu-nee admit it for her, I guess. And I think this is Yuki's line, "Oh, well, you are a teacher." And Megu-nee agrees, "Yep, that's what a teacher does." And they toast their, like, coffee cans. And then Megu-nee goes on, "Yuki-chan, it's okay to be your own kind of teacher." And Yuki complains, "But it's hard. They'll be fine. You of all people can do it. You're just saying that." And Megu-nee presses, "I believe in my students' limitless potential." Huh? And we see Megu-nee look kind of sad. "This is just my opinion. But I think that the most important thing a teacher can do is to have faith in her students." And Yuki sort of looks up at that, looks at Megu-nee. "Now I understand, Megu-nee. No, Sakura-sensei." At the very, very end, she finally calls Megu-nee by her name. Quality shit right there. That's some quality shit right there. But Megu-nee pushes back. Megu-nee is fine. And then I guess morning comes. The ghost is gone. It's just Yuki alone in the teacher's lounge. And she sees the club activities diary. I guess in their time in the school life club. She picks it up. And she sort of rubs the cover a bit, holds it to herself. And at the end, goodbye, Megu-nee. Finally, once again letting go of her past. And we see she walks outside to the mailbox with her students' letters. She puts them all down, and then I think this must be Rin calling. "Wait, Sensei! Wait!" And she calls out, looks back. "What is it, Rin-chan? Did Mr. Postman already come?" "Not yet. You're fine." "Oh, good. Here." And she hands Yuki her letter. And then Rin notes the bag that Yuki has. "Sensei, that's a lot of letters." "Yes, they're from the whole class, and some from me." And Rin looks at her. "You're sending letters too? To who?" And Yuki tells her, "I am. To my friends and to a very special someone." "Someone special? Are you getting married?" And Yuki kind of like demurs. "No, not that kind of special." And then she looks up. "To my own teacher. In heaven." God, this is just a sweet fucking scene. I'm sorry. I know I said like I'm not quite sure, like from a logistical standpoint or from a character standpoint, that bringing the ghost of Megu-nee back, kind of iffy on that. But just for an emotional standpoint, it's good. It is real good. To my own teacher in heaven. "You mean you have a teacher too? Hey, what do you write her?" And Yuki tells her, "I told her I'm healthy and all grown up, so she doesn't have to worry." And then Yuki gets down to pat Rin's head. "Rin-chan, can you be grown up?" "I can. I will." And Yuki brings her in for a hug. "Well, until you do, I'll always be there for you." "Okay." And it's just this really sweet scene. I love the idea of Yuki becoming a teacher just like Megu-nee was to guide the next generation like Megu-nee did for her. It's a really nice capstone of her character arc. And I love it. And the postman comes by. Ding ding, and he stops. "Hello." And Yuki holds out the bag. "Here, thank you." And Rin also chimes in, "Thank you." And then Rin kind of mutters to the postman, And the postman looks at her. What is it? Mr. Postman, how do you deliver letters to heaven? And the postman looks at her, and we see Yuki kind of pop up behind Rin, like, don't ruin this for her. And so the postman gets down. You can't tell anyone, okay? And Rin nods. In the middle of the world, there's a very, very tall tower. And if you climb and climb and climb that tower, you can get to the land in the sky. And we see Rin's image of the bike riding up the top of the tower. It's very cute. And Rin goes on, I want to go there too. And the postman tells her, when you're older, okay? Which is true from a certain point of view. And then we see, I'm guessing this is Yuki's letter to Miki or someone. As always, thank you for your letter. I'm glad to hear you're well. I'm also doing okay. Oh, she wrote this to everyone. I guess I'm getting used to being a teacher. We see, God, I'm going to look up her name. I'm going to look up her name, the motorcycle helmet, who had the kid, it's on the tip of my tongue, Sino. We see Sino and her son, whose name is Renji, I think. Kurumi at the hospital. Sending you a letter like this connects the present me to the future you. We see Yuri back at the restoration office. Our feelings reach across time. So even if we're on our own, we're not alone. We see the D-Gen Society and Rise also getting their letters. It's truly amazing. I guess I should thank the postman. And we see Megu-nee's grave, just to sort of see everyone getting these letters. So I'm not lonely, but when you're up to it, please come visit. And we see Miki also getting her letter. And Rin, we see Yuki guiding Rin back to class. When I grow up, I'll be a postman. And Yuki tells her, I'm sure you will. Well then, until next time, Yuki. And that's the end. This is the final issue of Gakugarashi Odayori. It's been a very long time since Gakugarashi started serialization in 2012. Thank you again for reading. The final volume comes out October 12th. Please enjoy. And we end with this cute little chibi drawing of all four of the School Life Club together. And my one complaint about that is that I wish we saw Kurumi. I wish that it was either definitively them in high school or we saw Kurumi in the wheelchair. Instead of them as adults, but Kurumi also walking. But it's nice. They were always the heart of this series. They were always our main characters. And I like that if I have one problem with letters, it's that we never really got to see the gang together, which is very much the point. It was kind of everyone kind of keeping up with each other, sending these letters about their lives as they go on. But I do wish we got to see the School Life Club together again. You know? But yeah, that's the end of School Live. The end of School Live Letters and the end of School Live, and it's very much the end of both. You know, if you look at the chapter's two main components, you have the letter writing, which is a capstone to letters, and Yuki's final scene with Megu-nee, which is a capstone to the entire franchise. And it's just nice, you know. We have this bit of, we see how much Yuki has grown through, both through her passing on of the tradition of letter writing that's been so important to the gang keeping up with each other over the years. And also as a teacher, sort of, you know, helping Rin through her little crisis, wondering if the postman can send the letter. And, you know, she lies, which is what you do for a child sometimes. Also, kind of in a roundabout way, you know, tying back to the lies the rest of the School Life Club told for Yuki's own delusions, now that I think about it, and how even if it was false, it made both Yuki and Miki, Kurumi, and Yuri's lives better to play along with it. And here, keeping Rin's delusions alive, though they're much less severe delusions, has made everyone else's lives, specifically Yuki and the postman's, better. Yeah, it's just a good little all-around bit. And then we have that one final scene with Yuki and Megu-nee. As Yuki gets like one last chance to kind of talk to her vision of Megu-nee. This time, much more mature, much more aware that she's talking to a ghost, to like the fragment of her own mind. And she hears what Megu-nee has always kind of wanted to tell her. Or at least what Yuki presumes Megu-nee has always wanted to tell her. The fact that Megu-nee isn't real is kind of an odd little... It's kind of an odd little problem here, but it's whatever for the most part. Yeah, it's just a nice scene. I love, Yuki holding that club activities diary one final time with goodbye Megu-nee. It's sweet. It's just a sweet fucking chapter. It's a sweet ending to a delightful little miniseries. And yeah, we see Yuki sort of continuing to be a great teacher for Rin, passing on that teacherdom, that sort of knowledge to the next generation. And then we see we check in with everyone one last time. Sino and her son, Kurumi and the little boy from the hospital, Yuri, and I think that actually might be Yuri's kind of mini love interest in the background there from her chapter. The Degen Society and Rise and Megu-nee and Miki, who's been connecting all these people. It's great. It's nice. It's wonderful. It's School Live. Yeah, that's School Live. That is the end of School Live. Unless, of course, Kaiho comes up with another sequel series. But I don't think we really need one. I feel like the original series kind of asked for some kind of sequel when it plopped us into in the epilogue. Here's society years after the apocalypse, and we don't really get to see a lot about it. This chapter doesn't really do that. It's still just sort of, we're still in the same time period, the same world as we were. I don't know. I'm not quite sure I'm making sense. My point is, this is a really good finale. The only thing I could have wanted more was to see just more of the cast in it. It's what I would have liked was to have a Yuki chapter and then maybe a chapter that's just everyone somehow. I'm not quite sure how the framework would have worked for that, but that would have been nice. One last chapter to really check in on people. But I'll take what we can get. It's just a really nice series. It's a really nice chapter. I mean, it's not Letters at its peak. It's not chapters 3 and 6, which really are so good. And even if every other chapter was complete trash, 3 and 6 would justify the existence of this miniseries. But instead we got a really good epilogue, a lot of really good chapters. Last chapter notwithstanding, that was kind of weird and bad. But beyond that, I don't really have anything to complain about with Letters. It was a nice little, check in with some beloved characters. It's good. It's real good. Yeah, I mean, one day I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread all of School Live. But for now, this is the end. Everyone's moving on. They're living, and their lives will continue as they make their way in the world. And I'm getting sappy, like I sometimes do at epilogues. But yeah, that's School Live. School Live is great. Fuck. If you're watching this and you've not read School Live, go read School Live. School Live is really fucking good. One of the greats. But God, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how best to end this series. I mean, thank you Kaiho and what's the illustrator's name? I always forget. Kaiho and give me a second. Kaiho and Chiba Sadaru for your decade of work on this series. Thanks to the whole Waterflame team for the English release. It's been a time. It's been a great time. And I don't know what's going to happen next for Kaiho in particular. But whatever it is, I'll be reading it, I'll probably be reviewing it, because School Live is good, and I put a lot of faith in Kaiho Norimitsu as a writer. But yeah, that's School Live. Thanks to everyone who has worked on this series. It's incredible, and it's been my privilege to have reviewed it as much as I have. That's my final thoughts. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video, the chapter, the series, the franchise, all of School Live. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy. And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!